Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Call of the Netherdeep, How to Run Chapter 3. If you are playing Critical Role Call of the Netherdeep, this is the stream for you, where we're going to go over Chapter 3, Bazzoxan, and we're going to talk about all of the things that can help make your game better. Now, this is primarily for Dungeon Masters, so if you've been watching our game so far, you're not going to be spoiled. But if you are not watching and you're just kind of tuning in randomly, there will be spoilers. In fact, I have a spoiler tag up right now for Twitch. Yeah, there are going to be spoilers as well as spoilers for our own game, which I've already seen the chat flooded with quite a few of them for something that happened last episode. Let me just say I have a bunch of spare stickers now. If anybody wants drow stickers, I got plenty of them. Got a whole stack right there. Cute. I love that I paid $20 to throw you guys off the scent. I literally got those stickers to throw y'all off the scent.
Well, now they're just memorial stickers.
Echo Knight. I have Valis in the Echo Knight version.
Of the angels.
You have to get a piece of like tissue paper, Robin, and just like put that over it so it looks just a little bit out of focus. Yeah.
Now it just looks like he's wrapped in tissue. That's messing with your background. You're no longer in a cave.
Ghost Valis.
Emotional damage. All right, so hey folks, how's it going? I'm Kelly. I'm the Dungeon Master here at Critical Role Call of the Netherdeep by Dork Tales. Are you seeing him? Happy to be here. We're going to talk about game, and we're going to chat for a bit. It's weird that we're doing 2 of these in 1 week, because we finished Wild Beyond the Witchlight in its entirety. So we did that last night, and now we're doing another chat. And then I've got Vampire tomorrow night, which is a short game night. So I've got very few games this week. It's kind of nice. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's good. If I hadn't messed up my back, this would be a pretty chill week. I'd have a lot. I'd be caught up on everything. But folks, we should go and introduce everybody. Let's go in reverse order today, starting with Caitlan.
Whoa, throwing a curveball right out the gate. It's all good. Hey everyone, I'm Caitlan, and usually I play Xarria Rainn, the tiefling cleric of blood. For this campaign. I also have fiddle beads that I just made today, so if they get annoying, please let me know and I will stop fiddling with them.
Nice.
But I really like them, and they're cool rocks, so they're carnelian, so I'm very stoked with them, so I have them in my hands.
That's awesome.
Anyway.
Nice. Nice.
Thanks.
All right, let's pass over to Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris. I was about to say I'm playing Chris. But no, I normally play Dorlen Wildrock. Sorry, I've been a little unwell lately, so a little addled at the moment. More so than normal, anyway. And yeah, I use he/him pronouns, and as I said, normally play the hyper not focused Dorlen Wildrock. Happy to be here tonight, and good to see you all.
Good to see you, Christa.
Oh, hello. I am Christa. You can use she, her, or they, them pronouns for me. And I normally play Sabina Moorden and her moorbounder companion Dax. And yeah, let's talk about some stuff.
All right, and finally, Robin.
Hello, I'm Robin. I use she, her pronouns, and boy, my brain is dumb too today.
Forgetting your pronouns is such a mood.
I love that we're all we're all on top of it today.
It's great, but yeah, let's talk. I'm wearing some D20 earrings from Hero Forge that took forever to ship in the mail, but I finally got them. They were a Christmas gift. Yep.
Nice, that's good. All right. Anything else anybody want to toss in? No? All right. That's good.
Oh, I use she, her pronouns. I don't think I put that in there. I got real excited about my beads. I'm sorry.
All right. So excited about your rocks that you forgot your pronouns. Nice.
Rock on.
Rock on.
All food.
Very excited.
All right. I asked for any questions, and people have responded by not asking any, which is great. This is great. I love it. We're just gonna we're gonna riff on this. It's gonna be good. So, folks, we just completed Chapter 3 of Call of the Netherdeep, which covers Bazzoxan and Betrayer's Rise. Tonight, we're gonna talk about a bunch of ways that you can make your game better, as well as just kind of discussing what we did and why it worked the way it did, whether or not we liked it, what we would change, etc., etc. So overall, how are you enjoying this adventure module so far, everybody? Give me your scale of like 0 to 10. Oh, Caitlin's at like a 9.5.
Yeah.
Chris is like
Overall,
an
yeah.
8 or 9. Okay. Now
So
be honest. Be honest.
That's 0. That's 5. That's 10.
Yeah.
Like a 6.
6.
Same.
Yeah.
6. And we're gonna talk a little bit about this. So, what did you think of this chapter? Because I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to touch on tonight.
May I ask what is specifically included in this chapter? Because I know we've kind of been
So,
switching
like I said,
between them. So,
Bazzoxan. So the moment you arrive at Bazzoxan to the end of the chapter.
Okay.
To the end of
So like last game.
The thing. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So chapter 3 covers basically everything after you arrive at Bazzoxan.
Everything in and underneath Bazzoxan.
So literally like Bazzoxan, and also includes
Betrayer's Rise.
Betrayer's Rise. Okay.
Yeah.
That was I just wanted to confirm.
It is a big ass chapter compared.
Yeah.
I liked Bazzoxan a lot. I liked the city of Bazzoxan. I enjoyed that. I liked, again, kind of, you get the vibe that, oh, this is a not good place. This is a not good module. Here's some slightly, those gibbering mouthers did a number on us, if I remember. Oh yeah, Dorlen ran into the middle and like died 20 times. Yes, right. So I liked that and the interaction.
You like Dorlen dying 20 times. Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah. Yes.
Top 10, top 10.
Yeah. But the Betrayer's Rise, not my favorite, but we did it.
I liked the idea of Betrayer's Rise, to be honest with you, because I'm not fully sure, but it felt like every Betrayer god kind of had their own room.
They did, absolutely. You
okay,
call it.
I had a feeling.
This is the room of chains. This is the room of pain. This is the room of trains.
That one was, but I'm pretty sure.
There's a room of trains.
Yeah, with the lava was and the horns was the Asmodeus one. But anyway, I really liked. I actually really quite liked Betrayer's Rise.
You like creepy shit.
Yeah, and that's probably why. And I know it was really brutal, and it was supposed to be really brutal. Like it was exactly the way that it was supposed to be in the book, and I like the way that it was written. That's me.
Cool.
I think I have a tough time I dissociate a lot, and so I'm like usually trying to I'm always like 2 steps behind when things are being described. And so when you're dealing with things like when you're dealing with a room that has all of these tiny little details in it, I constantly felt like I was missing something, and then something would happen and then I would understand something and then go, okay, hang on, wait, I totally fucking missed that. And I would have acted completely differently had I known this thing. And so I felt that there were so many tiny details that I think you said this, Kelly, of like, it's going to push away new players.
Yes, we're going to touch on that tonight. We're going to touch.
Yeah, and I think that's because I totally agree with Robin. Like Bazzoxan was awesome. The vibe of it was great. Although I think we also touched on the fact that like the module seems to expect you to just be like, hey, we have this artifact. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Because like every NPC interaction is like when your characters tell them. Like,
yes.
Which I would have. But
yes, you would have.
We're seasoned D&D players that play under Kelly Clark, so
that's me.
We don't trust NPCs.
What are you talking about? My NPCs are usually really nice. Like I always think my NPCs are too nice.
Well, and maybe that's why we're always worried, is we're all just waiting for the shoe to drop.
Well, and also but again, you have an ancient artifact, like, oh yeah, we have this ancient artifact. Da-di-da-di-da. We have a
and
vestige
the world
of divergence,
has,
come rob and murder us.
The world of this has been harsh. So like, why would you go from this world of harshness and people stealing from you to being like, let's tell everybody?
Yeah, it's kind of,
if you're naive as fuck.
This is true. This is very true.
Though I really would have been, I think it would have been really interesting to if we actually, or maybe we can do this like in an epilogue or something, finally find out where our Uncle Bard Destiny went.
Oh man.
Your Uncle Bard Destiny? He's just at the
Yep.
strip club.
Or Uncle Destiny Bard.
He's at the strip club. It's amateur night. He's
That's
performing.
just where he is. Yes.
Oh, he's performing.
He's performing. He's very good.
Ah.
So you know what? I'm gonna jump right in and talk about two things about this module. That it's kind of weird that we're gonna be talking about this at chapter 3, but I feel that at this point we've got our legs under us. We understand kind of what this module is going to be doing. Like, what is this adventure going for? So I'm going to talk about some of the problems that we've talked about off camera, like behind the scenes, and things that we have kind of looked at this and had discussions on to see how we wanted to both run it and how we wanted to play it and how we wanted to experience this. Number one, if you are watching this because you are wondering if you should run this module, if you should run this adventure for your players, and you are just getting into Dungeons and Dragons, and you are a big fan of Critical Role, and you're thinking this is going to be a great inroad because you've got Critical Role, and you've got like a mod that Matt Mercer has signed off on, and that this is going to be what gets your players into Critical Role style D&D. It probably isn't. It is. I think this is a very good module so far. I think this is a very good adventure. It is. I'm not gonna.
It feels like a 2E. It feels like a 2E module.
It is fucking rough.
Yeah.
This is hard. This is mean at places. And I'm not saying that, like, for established players, who cares? Right? Like, as long as you tell everybody, hey guys, the gloves are off, have fun. You know, experienced players don't care. But if this is going to be your first experience with a Critical Role themed Dungeons and Dragons game, you might have a bad time. Your players, what did I say before off camera? I said this is going to scare people off. Yes. Like, some new players are going to get scared off of D&D by this module. And that's... Oh boy, what do you think of that, everybody? Because it's...
Yeah.
It's rough. It goes right into Betrayer's Rise right off the bat. Some of the encounters that you have are really brutal, and it feels like it's designed for player death. A lot of it, like more than any other game that I have ran. Like more than honestly, I see player death in this quicker than Curse of Strahd.
Mm.
Wow.
Not much quicker, but about on par with Curse of Strahd. And Curse of Strahd is not the game you run for newbies usually. Like, you need special newbies for that.
Well, and especially, like, we started this in a way of like, oh yeah, this is kind of like Witchlight. It's got this little carnival at the beginning, and this is kind of fun, and let's start out light and interesting, and this is like this cool little party, and now you're in Betrayer's Rise. Like, it seems like a lot.
They were definitely very different vibes.
Yes.
So I think as long as you know what you're getting into and your players know what they're getting into. But I think definitely experienced players would
for brand new players, like you know. That's not saying don't do it, but know going in, this is gonna be rough.
Yeah. Just no going in. Yeah.
Because like I think that like we're fine. We've been playing games for like some of us for decades now. It is not a big deal for us, but like we've had this talk off camera of like, geez, can you imagine this being your first game? Right?
Yeah,
like,
no,
this is like my 4th or 5th game, and it's rough still. Like this
makes this makes Witchlight look like cotton candy, and this makes Rime of the Frostmaiden look easy.
Oh yeah, this is enough, like Rime is easy compared to this.
Like this is nothing.
Yeah.
I saw it right off camera.
From what little Critical Role I have actually watched, I feel like this hits the vibe, but is so much more like, I feel like to really facilitate what Critical Role is, you need players that are Critical Role players, and you need a DM who is a seasoned DM who knows how to facilitate role playing. But the actual module itself, like I've said this before in all of our Witchlight stuff and all of our other like how to run things, is like modules should be able to be picked up by a fresh DM with a fresh crowd and be played.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
This doesn't feel like it's going to do that.
Well, and that Bazzoxan is a really cool city. I really love the way they fleshed it out.
Yeah.
But Betrayer's Rise itself, Betrayer's Rise is really interesting because, by the way, for anybody who's joining now, there will be some spoilers. Betrayer's Rise is literally this. Ready? That's it. That's the entire Betrayer's Rise. You guys entered here. You went straight up the middle, down the hole, which goes over here. That's the lightless corridor down there that looks kind of like someone threw up. Here's the funny part. You guys went through the lightless corridor. You went into the blood room, and then you was like, "Oh, let's rest here." This is literally the door to the abyss, right here. You were that close to the abyss the entire time.
Jesus.
And I was like, "Oh God, please don't go south." But hey, it's your game. So you guys decided to long rest here. And the way that it works is that they've got a bunch of stuff here where it's like, oh, if you want other Betrayer's Rise encounters, if you want... So this is one of the things about the mod I find really weird, is that they have this bit called Expanding the Betrayer's Rise. If you want to or need to, you can create new maps about Betrayer's Rise, new encounters and new routes through it. Here's some encounters below, a D10 chart, and then some reinforcements that might show up when you clear rooms, etc. And it's weird they didn't include more than that. It seems like they were rushing, or it seems like they would assume that like the Dungeon Masters Guild would fill in their gaps for them, and they wouldn't have to pay their writers for a higher word count. As someone who lives off of streaming and word count, like they wouldn't have had to pay that much. Well, usually it's like it's less than a dime a word. Like,
I mean, I think this is one of the things that I said. I think I said this off camera of like, when you said like, why are you taking a long rest? I was like, I expected this to be a multi-day dungeon. Like like the way that it is talked about of like these expeditions are going in and it's all changing and all of this and everybody, it's different every time you go in and it's different for everybody. Like I thought it was going to be the abyss. Like I thought we were going in and we're going to be there for a long time, and that was kind of why I was pushing for a long rest so hard of like, we still have so much more to go when we kind of didn't.
Well,
I think people talk about it like that because people go in and how often do they come out? So it's multi-day because they don't come out.
Yeah, well, I guess enough have come out to say it's different every time. Like that's the other thing, right? Is
I guess there must.
Well, I think we were planning on trying to search for the friends.
Yeah.
So I was like, I mean, we couldn't.
Oh, by the way, you found them. You found them in the Drider room. They were in the cocoons.
Oh, okay.
So you opened the door and went, nope, and shut the door.
Oh,
they were right there, Robin. You could have just gone and grabbed them.
You didn't say there was people in cocoons. You said there was
because there was a spider in your face, and you shut the door before I could describe the room.
I guess
so. You were just like
giant spider.
The giant spider, Bruce and Sheila.
Oh my gosh.
Also, I want to say that our chat is really like dropping truth right now. GM Workshop in particular is saying a bunch of just great stuff about the way the module is written, and Dazed Apricot's throwing a bunch of shade too. It's nice.
Okay, so
and Angel Rukai is right. There is a Baylor. Actually, Kaeko, you went into a room where a Baylor was napping in lava.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, you described that, and I'm just like, I don't know what this is in character. I have no idea what this is in character, but I'm like, please do not antagonize this.
Orange light emanates from the depths of a chasm.
I did it because Kelly was like talking about the lab. I'm like, okay, I want to see.
Yeah, I know.
So Kelly's doing a lot of little suggestions. So I'll poke my head in and go, nope, and I'm back out.
So you want to hear how this is written? A Baylor sleeps in molten lava. If it is attacked, the demon wakes. The characters who have no chance of defeating this powerful demon in combat must flee or die.
Wow.
See, in a module, like, and we've talked about this off camera of like save or die situations are so frustrating, and especially for new players are going to be very frustrating.
Nobody
and
likes
like
to feel helpless.
Exactly. And I think it was Angel in the chat had said like one of their players, this is their first ever game and they're loving it. Like, yeah, you're gonna get people that like that because these are the people that play Elden Ring?
Elden Ring,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
You know, like there's people that like playing disaster games that they are gonna constantly feel helpless, and that's fine, like to each their own. But like the average player who's again used to Critical Role is going to be frustrated.
I would argue that rooms like the Baelor are not save or die. They are fuck around and find out rooms. And I think for new players, fuck around and find out rooms are great so long as you let them escape by the skin of their teeth, maybe with their asses on fire and like with one hit point, you know, permanent scars. Maybe you cost them like a tiny limb or something like that. They lose a toe.
Fair, yeah.
But it's
again, that's putting the onus on the DM to know that.
That's true.
That's true.
It's
Sorry,
also
Caitlan.
more interesting to watch because we are doing this for a stream. And I feel that just save or dies, it's much more fun to watch the characters struggle and then die. Yeah. But just like, oh, you're at full HP and just fucking done. Like, that's just not, it's not fun. I find it's not fun to play because you're like, oh, I couldn't do anything. And it's not fun to watch because you're like, oh, well, I guess that's that. Right? Yeah. It's way more fun for the struggle. Both ways.
And situations like the Baelor with a new player, that can very easily go the other way, even if you like kind of make it as a fuck around and find out room, because especially if somebody's like brand new to something, they're already going to be probably pretty nervous about it in the first place, and especially if they're playing with more experienced people on top of that. And I can see even it being like a like causing them some harm depending on like to the character or whatnot for fucking around and finding out that could still actually be a bad experience for someone, and needs to be handled very carefully, and you need to know the what the other person's like and what they enjoy. And I would definitely, with the like contrast between like how Jagao was, and even just like I know as soon as we came into the city of Bazzoxan,
the tone shift. The tone was
it was just like, it was just like, oh, this is not a good place. Like, this is okay, all right. Like, this is it felt like a very different it felt very, very different. And then like just going in there, like, you know, I do enjoy games that kind of hurt a little bit. Elden Ring, pretty once I found my jam, pretty easy. But it was still it was difficult, like like to get there. And you know, a lot of people get discouraged by that kind of stuff. So I would just be careful.
Yeah, and I think my issues with Betrayer's Rise came again from the assumption that I had made that this was going to be a long dungeon. So I wasted my abilities, and I did not strategically use my spells and like stuff like that. So it was like, shit, I am wrecked. I've used all my hit dice, and it was one of those moments where it's like, shit, this is a lot. We're closer to the end than I thought we were. But like, if we're coming into any sort of fight, like Kaeko's going down in a hit and I not coming back up kind of thing. And so that was my regret, was kind of the, oh shit, I assumed, and I should have been a little more careful with my spells and abilities as a bard.
Yeah. So, and the thing is that giving you a long rest inside of here makes the final encounter really, really easy. Because the final encounter, so the structure of this is, you go through Betrayer's Rise, you make it to the big statue, you go through its stomach, and you show up at the prayer site to Avandra. The jewel awakens into its second stage, and then the rivals show up. Now, here's the thing. If you have not been following our version of the game, the characters are on really good terms with the rivals overall. Like, I would say friendly plus. One of them is like, a pair of them are like kind of dating, sort of. Like Xarria is kind of dating one of them. There's like some tension, like romantic tension and friend tension there, and just some really good stuff like that. They give you three options. So basically, so Aloysia shows up and she's all like, Now, if you would simply hand over the jewel, we can all get out of here without spilling any more blood. Right? Like one of those things. And then there are 3 options, okay? This is not spoiling things going forward in our campaign. So, friendly rivals, which is kind of how it started. Io congratulates the characters for reaching the prayer site and awakening the jewel. Nice job, guys. I guess we can get out of here now. Right? Something like that. The rivals not only allow the characters to keep the jewel, but also offer to help them return to Bazzoxan. Aloysia is shocked by their betrayal. Okay, fair. Indifferent rivals. The rivals try to knock you out and take the jewel, rather than just kill you. And then hostile rivals, and this is weird, because listen to this line and tell me if this sounds like any version of Io that you have seen played in our game, at least. Io strides to the edge of the crater and snarls, I guess this is the end of your hunt, huh? The rivals attack to kill.
Oh.
It's like, so I can see a lot of games where it would devolve into the antagonistic version, right? The angry version, the killer version. The friendly version and the indifferent version, if the friendly version means that from there, so if from there, Aloysia carries a satchel that holds 3 teleportation tablets, if the characters retain possession of the jewel, she loses her temper and begins ranting on her next turn. Midway through her rant, she pulls out a scroll of Earthquake from her belt, which she casts as an action on her turn. She then flees up the passageway, dropping 2 teleportation tablets while she rummages through her satchel. A huge chunk of stone falls from the ceiling behind her, separating her from the characters, blocking the only exit. On her turn, she teleports out. The characters get stuck in the gem space and then have to teleport out or break their way out. And if Maggie's there, it's a little easier. It takes characters with a combined strength of 70 to clear the rubble.
Oh, combined 70.
And it takes them 10 hours.
Holy
Jesus.
shit.
To get out of
For
there.
another 10 hours. And then you have to like go
During an
through
earthquake.
the whole shit.
Then to get
all
out,
again.
yeah. Betrayer's Rise.
If you survive the
Yeah,
earthquake.
again.
So if you couldn't tell, I completely rewrote the scene. I was like, screw it.
Yes.
For one, you guys had just rested. So what I needed 2 things to happen. I needed the DMPC to be on his last legs. So I made him. So for one, he trances. You guys have to sleep. It made sense for him to like keep watch while you guys slept. So then, boom, I made sure that he was on his last legs. I'd used a bunch of his abilities while you guys were asleep. You know, he didn't regenerate hit points, right? Boom, easy. Once we got in there, this is a holy site of Evandra. So technically, you could argue that it is immune from the corruption of Betrayer's Rise. Fuck it. You left the door open. Nobody said that they tried to shut it. Nobody said that they thought they could shut it. No one even mentioned the door after they walked through it. So I was like,
Oh, I forgot
cool.
about it.
Exactly. Everybody forgot about it.
We were trying to
We're like,
sneak away from the Gloomstalker, so just slamming a
Oh,
door
right.
would have brought attention.
Yes,
I
it
feel.
would have.
I thought about the door.
I
That was the thing was
I
thinking
planned
about.
everything.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about the door. I'm like, there's no way I'm fucking slamming a door with a Gloomstalker.
Right?
No way.
So, but you left that door open. Now, here's the thing. I rolled for reinforcements, and there were tons of reinforcements that were coming after rooms you cleared out. But there were also ones that were coming behind the rivals, who reached it through a different passageway because it's a nexus. Like, and there's another passageway that leads there because it's chaos magic, right? It's, you know, they walked into a vending machine on you know,
It's like the Scooby-Doo chase scenes.
exactly,
Yeah.
different doors, right?
Oh my
So
god, yeah.
I needed something climactic. And what that was is I had monsters show up. I had the door be open, so a bunch of reinforcements were like, ooh, what's in here? And I was like, I'm going to try to get that jewel. And against all odds, I was lucky enough that one of the monsters that showed up was a Gloomstalker. And I looked down at its sheet, and I hadn't planned this. I honestly hadn't. I had planned the big fight. I had planned the drama. I had planned the earthquake. I had long set up, you know, the knife throwing the, you know, the knife thing, right? Which I wish I'd moved my figures a little differently because I was worried about narrating, and I know someone's going to leave a comment about that, about how would Valas have been hit by in your mind. The map is for benefit of play, not for benefit of narration. Yes. But the Gloomstalker having the paralysis scream. was that was accidental. I was literally, the Gloomstalker showed up randomly and I looked down and went, oh, it's a present. And that allowed her to get it. Now, that doesn't mean that it's gone for good. I guarantee you're going to catch that bitch because you kind of have to for the plot to work. So enjoy hunting her. And I assume maybe killing her and being jailed.
Oh, bitch, I'm about to go hunting.
Oh, yeah.
This is what
Kaeko
I
is
do.
mad.
Can you say
Yeah.
that like
Kaeko
Sabina
is
would?
Everyone's
angry.
fit.
Bitch, I'm going hunting.
Going hunting.
Yes.
It's gonna be great. Now you take if you get a new favorite terrain, take cities, because you're gonna be in a.
Oh. No, I just took deserts.
Did you just take desert? I mean,
Mm.
Ank'Harel's in.
Yeah, I just got
You're going
it.
to Ank'Harel. Like
Yeah,
that's.
Ank'Harel.
Does that count as a
We
desert?
ended up
It's in the
sand.
desert. Now, does that count? Does urban count?
Right?
We'll have to double check that. 'Cause, like,
Urban is one, yeah.
urban is one.
Oh.
Maybe swap it. Maybe swap it.
Maybe we'll talk.
Maybe we'll just swap it. Maybe I didn't see it on your sheet.
Swap
By the way, I want to say any DMs that are watching this, I really strongly say if you have characters like Christa's Ranger that have region specific or monster specific things, work with them. Don't let them just be like, I picked dragons as my favorite enemy. There's not a dragon in this thing. Do you know what there are? Aberrations out the ass and some monstrosities and some fiends.
We're playing a game called Dungeons and Dragons, and there are no dragons.
There's like, okay, that's not true. There's this.
I feel betrayed.
Is it a
Oh no,
deal
it's
breaker?
it's.
My expectations are not being met.
Is there a dragon?
Dungeons.
There-
We did
and
do a
Netherdeep.
dungeon.
It's Dungeons and Dragonborn.
Oh,
There.
okay. I guess
There's a
that-
dragon turtle. There's a dragon turtle. Oh no,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Horizon
Oh,
back
wait,
tortoise. I was wrong.
what?
Never mind.
Oh,
Redeemed.
damn it. Oh, okay.
We're out. All
Oh,
right.
there's a dragon mentioned.
There's a dragon mentioned. There is a dragon mentioned.
Okay.
There's a dragon mentioned.
Redeemed.
Redeemed. So
Redeemed.
as you're looking through this, like change it. Also, if you were watching our show, or if you're not watching our show, what I did is the players camped out overnight, and I used this opportunity to, and by the way, get consent from your players on things like this, because it can be kind of rough. I ran, the idea was if you're sleeping in a place that's infested by the abyss, it's going to try to corrupt you. It's going to try to get into your head. So I ran nightmare scenes for each of you that were written specifically for you, because I had someone in the chat earlier who was like, were those in the module? Nope. You think the module's going to be that mean? The module's not that mean, right? The module is smarter than to be that mean, I think.
And you see, I think like I know we spent like a couple of sessions in the dungeon. I think like the first one, like, okay, you know, it's a bunch of combats, dungeon crawling, like not always my favorite thing. But like as soon as you like do the freaking like nightmares and everything, it's just like,
Yes.
here it is. Yes.
I
Here
know.
it is. And then the way you ended it with like, oh my gosh, like Valis's last echo, like pushing Dorlen out of the way. I was just like, oh my god, that hurts so good.
Especially after my super like emotional close scene with Valis going over
Yeah.
everyone's
Oh.
instrument.
Well, and
Oh,
that might
boy.
be, like maybe
He's getting
can we
character
talk a little
development.
bit
Better
about
take out the life insurance policy.
being in
Truth.
Bazzoxan?
Yeah.
Because the time in Bazzoxan, I did really enjoy. Like that's where all
It's cool.
of my good
Yeah.
points for this chapter. Like I loved, and again, like that was a lot of really good character stuff. Like I know we kind of said that like we spent a lot of time getting to know the rivals, and then we really did get time to know kind of each other. And we got a little bit more opportunity to interact with each other. And like I think Sabina interacted with Valis quite a bit, but also tried to interact with other people. But like I feel like we got a lot of character stuff out of everybody.
Well,
in
we finally
Bazzoxan.
separated from the rival party, which I think Kelly did
Yeah.
a really
Mhm.
good job with that, because naturally
Yeah.
we were a nice party and clung on to them
We're
throughout
friends,
chapter 1
right?
and 2, and it was good. But Kelly did a really good job of splitting us up, so you didn't
Mhm.
have to play 1,020
Yes.
NPCs, but
Yes.
you also let us interact as a party together.
Yes.
And I think something that was makes this character or this group a little bit different from a lot of stereotypical groups is we don't seem very wealth motivated.
Yeah,
like,
not
as
really.
characters, which
Not
is
as
quite
much.
different from a lot of other games, which I think shifts things a little bit.
Oh yeah, we were like, well, fuck off, Aloysia. We want to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So-
I make money.
I felt
Fuck off.
so bad about that. I felt awful for doing that. And then,
I
but then we
didn't. I
found out
loved
she
it.
was well,
Yeah.
then she felt horrible, or she ended up being a horrible person. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't feel so bad
Yeah.
anymore.
Justified.
I was like, well, if we could make a quick buck and scam this person by also helping, but then they turned out to be bad, so it was fine. But I was just like, we're just like, oh, why? We can make money if we can make 200 gold off this
I
person.
know.
Great.
I remember Robin saying that she was mad at me about it.
I was having one of those days where like you just had like a bad day at work, and so like you just come and this
Yeah.
is one of the things where like I can't separate this from the character right now. Myself, Robin, and the character were the same
Yeah.
person. I was like,
Well, it's
"Fuck
funny
off,
because we were
Christa.
talking last night.
Fuck
Which,
off."
Yeah.
which is exactly, I said the same thing about Witchlight last night, talking
Yeah.
about you throwing a fireball.
Yeah.
No.
You guys need to work on your
Alright.
bleed. So let's see. So let's go through some of these questions. So nightmares were not in the book, Nacro. Let's see. From Witchlight to Tomb of Annihilation. I've never ran Tomb of Annihilation. How hard is it to run? I'm gonna say it's probably a 6. It's probably a 6 difficulty to run, maybe a 7 with the number of NPCs. Your mileage may vary. How hard do you think it is to play? Give me a number. Oh, actually, GM Workshop says that the rival system in this module is leaps and bounds better than the Strixhaven relationship tracker.
I was just saying that I'm interested. I'll be interested to see the difference.
So it's pretty good because it shows their development over time. It's pretty nice. Do I calculate the encounters? Nah. I am of the I believe in a more theatrical approach to role-playing games rather than a hard numbers approach. So the encounters are already set up inside of this, and I am of the opinion that encounter tracking and challenge rating are at the best incredibly vague guidelines that don't really work.
They're more like guidelines instead of rules.
Like I was on a chat with somebody. I forget. I was on a show with somebody doing like a roundtable talk, and they were talking about how they're like first or second or third level players went up against like an adult dragon, and I'm like, and they beat it, didn't they? And they were like, yeah. And then I'm like, because they had like 5 or 6 PCs, and it's like someone rolls a natural. It was like last night we were going over the Jabberwock and Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and I'm like, you got like Christine's character could have taken, she could have soloed that in 5 rounds if I rolled poorly. She could have soloed it.
If you somehow didn't roll well to destroy her in that interim, absolutely.
Yep, and I roll very badly. I'm not good at rolling unless my dice are either on or off. There is no middle ground. I'm either having a really off night or I am wrecking you, and it gets to the point where I start to feel a little bad about it. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, but this is my like it was like what 3 games ago. I got like 17 nat 20s in one session or something like that.
God. It was for Netherdeep, right? Yeah, you were rolling.
It was
so
Netherdeep.
many nat
I think it was
20s.
2 games ago. And I was using the
got
Norse
super
Foundry
wrecked.
dice, and they just kept dorktailsing, like dorktails.
It was
dorktails.
like
I'm
it was insane. It was like, oh
Uh,
my god.
I'm sorry, guys. I guess you're meant to die here.
Yeah. Well, that's
That-
choosing the
Well,
worst
it's supposed to be a
spells
very
ever.
good place, and it is.
It's like you'll just come back as like zombies. It's fine. So
That's not fine.
so let's keep going. Trezelto. So was Valaz's death planned since the beginning of the campaign? No, not at all. Yeah, no, totally. I telegraphed the entire thing. I feel that when you have something like that, and it's not done, the plot's not done just because he's dead. Like his story Valaz will continue. There's more to the story beyond just death, because that's the easy road. But if you want something like that to happen, there are 2 ways to do it. One is just let it happen. But I personally think the better way to do it is to start foreshadowing and start setting up things, because you have to lean on it hard enough. you have to lean on the character connections long enough and hard enough that you'll get the correct reaction, right? You have to put in
You
the
need
work.
him to show a picture of his kids before he gets
Right.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got one more day till Drow retirement, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
Can't wait to go home back overseas. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get
married.
that, and it's difficult, and you don't have to telegraph when the death is going to be, but you do have to like know around. I knew how the death was going to be the moment he and Irvin had the argument. I'm like, because originally I was like, oh, he'll probably die in the confrontation for the jewel. I have no idea how, and I'm like, oh, well, I know exactly how now. That was an entirely organic scene that I was just like, well, there we go. I guess Irvin's gonna kill him because also I needed something to drive a wedge between the two parties, right? And
Irvin's dagger.
Irvin's dagger is
Literal.
the wedge, right? And so it's gonna be that even if you make friends with the other party, there's always gonna be that there. That's always going to right. And it's gonna get even worse because I know what a couple of you are planning at the beginning of next game, which I'm not going to say. So what did I do with the dagger?
I could even see that being an interesting wedge between us because Xarria was very close to Irvin, but maybe not as close to Valis. Like I feel like there wasn't a ton of Xarria Valis interaction. So like that can almost be like we're all pissed at Irvin and Xarria is like like I don't know if that's the way you're gonna go, Caitlan, but like I could see that being but like that could even maybe like that could foreshadow that, and like who knows if that'll go that way. But I know Chris is desperate for us to get at each other's throats.
Well, and even in the chat right now, the chat's starting to argue with each other now a little bit too. Like Aeolus is and they're like, well, but it wasn't on purpose. It's that he threw the knife and then the portal vanished, but Valis was right behind it. It was an accident. And it's like, was it?
I gotta admit when we were on our way to Bathazan and there was that encounter and like Urban was like screwing up his shots, I was just like, oh, this is how Kelly's gonna drive a wedge like between us, like the tension, like them arguing, getting into a fight, like obviously they did not get along and were butting heads, and I didn't see it twisting into what it did though, like with like that you turned that encounter into like such beautiful foreshadowing of what was to come, and like it was
and
when it happened it was just like, oh my god, of course this is how it's
it's my George R. Martin thing, right? It's my red wedding. Yeah,
that is also I feel like that's a really good thing, Kelly, that you did. Is so like we were kind of talking about like how if your players don't want to be mad at the rivals, how do you make them organically? That's it. Like you have to do something that does enough damage. Like that's a really good way of throwing that wedge in, is having two NPCs that cause the rivalry, and then you as a player are then invested in making it a rivalry instead of a friendship. Well, and that's like pro move.
I don't care if you end this as friends, but I need you guys not to travel together. Is basically what it is. I need you guys to be separate, because if you're not separate, I'm running like 15 people plus the monsters and it turns into the Kelly show. And as much as I adore some of the comments I've gotten on YouTube where it's like, oh, look at Kelly throwing his back out. I like my back. It's already bad enough this week. It's too much work.
More Maggie and Dermot and the rest of them. Actually, it was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. Galsariad can take a walk.
I like Galsariad.
Sabina and Galsariad can sit quietly in the corner.
I actually like all of them. Like they're all pretty nice. Very distinct. Even like Dermot and Maggie, who have quite a lot of personality traits, I think, that are similar. They all feel very distinct, and like on top of all the other NPCs that you have to do that we encounter, like that's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's a you've set it up a really nice way, because like me as a player, I know like we need to not be like super best friends forever with the other rival party, because it's a lot of work for you and probably not how this module was designed for, because we're weirdos and wanted to be best friends with the rivals, even though they're called rivals in the book.
I
But
need
like,
friendly
I
Well, it could
never
be like
wanted
rivals,
to-
like in an anime.
Yeah.
That's
They push each other forward.
And then in the end, they just, you know, they are friendship.
But I think it'd be a really good way to like naturally like sow this potential like we're not gonna travel together kind of thing, because I don't want to like metagame through it / perform it or find it like make my character, make Kaeko not want to travel with them. We're gonna see what happens next episode, but Keiko's not thrilled.
But
she
here-
screamed into the portal as she left. She's not happy.
Yeah.
So if you guys end up continuing to travel with them, if you work it out, I'm going to play this organically. I'm going to be 100% with you. I'm going to play this organically, and if you manage to repair that bridge enough that you would travel together, we will have to be adjusting the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before, the idea of having you run the rivals for
In
combat
combat.
wise. Like I could probably do the role play side of it by myself, but running in combat, it's just too much, and it separates your turns way too much, because it just turns into me rolling a lot of dice. And when I'm rolling for more than 20 characters, I'm gonna be honest, I don't care about the results. Like it's at a certain point, it gets too much. But if we did it so that you ran them in combat, it would be with, I would have to make sure that every person got, because it feels like in an ideal world, every rival would be the antithesis of another character, right? You'd have your specific rival, right? Like Dorlen.
I definitely think about this a lot.
Yeah,
Sorry,
cleric
just
versus
randomly.
cleric, wizard versus probably artificer, Io versus probably Kaeko, and Sabina, maybe Sabina versus Maggie, or Sabina versus Irvin would be like the kind of like striker angle. But I would want to make it so that you didn't play the person who was connected to you, who was opposite to you, right? So, and then you would not be allowed to share their stats with anybody else but you, because that way there's some mystery, right?
Yeah.
So
Just a quick thing. Scully and Jay in the chat is just asking what we're doing. Just a heads up. Normally in this time slot, we are doing actual play.
Sure.
Tonight we're just doing a quick breakdown of our sessions. So
Yeah, we just
check
finished
us out
the
next week
chapter.
if this isn't for you.
yeah, so basically we're
We have
going
neat
through
costumes.
this book right here called The Netherdeep, and we're talking about how to run it and like what things that if you're running this game you might come across and might be difficult for you, or as a player might be difficult, but spoilers abound, of course. Okay, so but welcome. Definitely check if you want to see all the stuff we do, go to our YouTube. Like seriously, go seriously. It is see you next week. That sounds good. Go to our YouTube for now. Go check out some of the costuming games at youtube.com/dorktales.
Yeah.
Or just click this link. Boop. There we go. But good to have you.
Did you want to do another question?
Yeah, so, and that was on the question of Random Equinox asked, I feel the rivals had less screen time than in previous chapters. If you can call the Journey to Bazzoxan a chapter. It actually is. It actually is. The leave taking is a chapter. Was that intentional to lessen your mental load or to direct more attention on the players? A little bit of both. They are much lessened inside of this chapter. So at the beginning of the chapter, so you show up right when the trouble with the gibbering mouthers is here. And the way that it works is the characters can either fight or run away. If they run away, the rivals end up having to take the brunt of it and end up getting really wrecked. And having, and like that drives another wedge between you, because they got hurt trying to do your work for you, right? So what I decided was, well, hell, why don't we just make this encounter bigger? Which seems to be what I keep doing to everything in this. Just let's make it worse.
Just a little bit. Why not?
Because
So
this wasn't hard enough.
it wasn't hard. Well, not with 10 of you, right? Like the trip
Yeah, that's fair.
That's true.
was not. So what I did was I made it worse, and I said, okay, cool. I'm gonna roll and see which one of them gets. Do I guess to roll see which one of them gets hurt? Io aftermath. I think it's that Io gets hurt. If Io was gravely wounded in battle, if you ran away. Maggie carried Io to the infirmary where she's treated by Dermot Werder. Irvin and Xarria linger outside the infirmary, concerned for their group's future. So I kind of gave that half credit. I had her be quite wounded by the gibbering mouthers, and basically gave the entire party a bit of shell shock. Like gave them a bit of a little PTSD spice, basically a little trauma for it, because these are just regular adventures. You guys are fighting gibbering mouthers for the just salt bay. Yeah, Trauma Bay.
Trauma Bay. That is you, Trauma Bay.
I'm Trauma Bay.
Yes, Kelly is Trauma Bay.
Trauma Bay.
We need like
especially.
a 20-kilogram bag of salt.
Where's Professor Multiverse? We need Salt
trauma.
Bay.
I need
Trauma.
Yeah.
Professor Multiverse, give me Trauma Bay.
That's really funny because I was thinking in my head BAY because
it's hospital stuff, right?
Nurse.
I was thinking about the ward as well.
Oh God.
Stick your hands in. So I split the difference because I was like, these guys are adventurers. This is their first time against something of this nature. And so, yeah, exactly. So GM Workshop is saying as well that Io failed to save from the gibbering mouther and had serious doubts about her abilities and had profound impact on her. So she is very rattled. Which is why, in my mind, that is why she took the contract from Aloysia, is that you guys went into there like nothing happened. And she's doubting herself so much that she's willing to take a bad deal that feels like a bad deal because her confidence is so shaken. And Irvin just wants to prop her up. And Xarria wants to go and learn. And Maggie and Dermot just want to keep the party working. So they're willing to basically stay in a bad marriage to keep everybody together for the kids, right? And that's so I've been trying to really psychologically like to go into the psyche of the characters and really make it work. But it is a lot. Also a couple of things in here. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like what you were saying about like if the party runs away, they get stuck fighting the gibbering mouthers, and that drives a wedge. I felt like that kind of tied into what GM Workshop was asking about, like, are there other spots you saw that could have naturally created a wedge?
Sure. Well, let's go through this. So, so if they stick together, natural places. In theory, Irvin could be at the corpse disposal at the crematorium. And I want to apologize real quick. As I was describing this, the crematorium I called it the incinerator at times. That's partially because they're using it to burn demons as well. And it seemed like a better word to me, but I realized after the fact that like that might have some connotations that I did not intend. So I did want to say, I've talked about this a bit in the Discord with several people, and just how like that does kind of have a historic precedent. Sorry, there's a motorcycle revving outside.
I thought it was a dragon story.
Yeah, it's the dragon that we talked about in this book. It's here.
Where is it?
It's outside my window, apparently.
Yes.
But I did want to say, sorry about the misspeaking there. That wasn't intentional by any stretch. And but I just wanted to address it real quick because I like to own up to my blunders. So I guess they could have tried to grab the box. That's kind of a weak one. There could have been a great argument in the infirmary. There could have been a moment at the wall where someone asked them to put something at the wall, or maybe one of them had someone who died elsewhere, or maybe one of them knew someone in Bazzoxan that they were going to meet. Like Irvin could very easily be like, "Oh yeah, Waste Walkers. One of my cousins is here. He signed up with the Aurora Watch not that long ago. Oh my God, this is his watch." Right? So something like that could easily be there.
Could we or they could have run away on our way to Bazzoxan? Like maybe like something gets too tough and the rivals run away and you get stuck fighting a thing by yourself.
Totally.
Would that be a thing maybe?
Yeah, you guys could have been separated in the wastes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some things in the waste, like there's one where a bunch of bandits show up and they basically like rob you. They force you to pay them protection money. You know? But there were 10 of you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there are only 10 bandits to show up. I'm like, I am not running 20 bandits plus 6 NPCs. You know, it's not, no, I am not doing this, which is too bad because they're hilarious bandits. Like, they're really fun and I really liked them, but it was like, yeah, I guess I can't.
Well, and I think GM Workshop makes a good point of like, I think the fact that we won and were gracious winners made it a little easier.
Yeah, it did.
Just be friends, but if they won and were not gracious winners, that might have been a little easier to make us not like them.
It's true. You also could have had a confrontation in the Gatehold Barracks, like a friendly rivalry there over drinking, fighting, etc. that goes a little too hard. You know, Irvin is hard drinking. He could easily do something stupid. Io could outbrag and basically hit a little too hard, you know? Maggie could absolutely be prejudiced against inside of there because of her background as an ogre.
Yeah,
less common in Bazzoxan and Xhorhas in general, but you know, who knows? Maybe they don't like ogres. Maybe orc is the biggest that they allow, you know? The ready room.
Goliath is sad.
The Goliath is sad. The ready room could be a good place for a drinking contest that kind of becomes, I mean, there are a lot of places in here where you could separate them. You could also easily have them bump into each other in Betrayer's Rise and have them abandon each other, either by choice or by saving throw fail.
Baylor.
Baylor. Remember that as a DM, you can just flat up decide if a NPC fails a roll. Like, you don't have to roll for it. If you don't want to, if it is dramatically appropriate, your NPCs are tools. Use them. So
sometimes they fall in crevices.
The other thing is that if you're in Bazzoxan, and if you're in Betrayer's Rise, have the rivals attack them. Have your players go into a room that's not on the map, and the betrayer or the rivals like show up and are like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then they start trying to kill them. They're illusions.
Exactly.
You know, and then they immediately bump into them inside of Betrayer's Rise like 2 minutes later, and then try to kill them. And they're like, and then like you gotta use these little moments to pick away at their friendship. So let me see. What else we got? I have a question about the blood fount room. The text says the orcs notice the player. Okay. The blood fount room is the worst thing in this module so far. And I complained about this.
30 feet up. Oh, it's so good. So bad.
Are we sure that GM Workshop is not actually just an alt account of yours?
Yeah. This is Angel. This is Angel Rukai.
This is Angel.
Oh, Angel Rukai.
But blood, I'm sure.
My bad.
So, allow me to describe the blood fount. Let me flip into this. So you guys skip the room with the flame skulls. So the blood fount of the Ruiner. So the way this is supposed to go, it is in a rectangular room. I've described this without maps so many times to like Christine and like other people on the team, just verbally ranting about it. So it's a rectangular room, blood fountain in the center. Hallway that comes to the north, hallway that goes to the south. What you don't know is if you go to the south, that is the demon pit. That is the rift. So it's just on the other side of that door. Go work on your tan. Okay. Okay. Now, the way that it is written, if you progress from the north, a stone slab goes and blocks you from going into the room.
Right. This thing.
Right.
But the point of this room is that it fills with boiling blood. And you can't get out because the doors are shut. Okay, sure, that's a great trap. That's a great encounter. But if you can't get into the room, it's a really bad encounter. Because the only other way into the room, unless you jumped down the 1,000-foot hole the moment you entered Betrayer's Rise, which takes you to the Abyss room, to the south is to go all the way around through this lightless corridor, which is a really bad puzzle, let's be fair, going, oh yes, the dark way, the purple way, or the red way. And you have to do the same thing 3 times in a row. It's repetitive, and it's not engaging, in my opinion. I think those type of puzzles...
I actually was like thinking like, there's no way it can be like the dark one again. Like, this is a
guys enjoy
chaos.
it?
They're not going to do this. So I'm like, but you know what? That's what Dorlen's going to think. So it's like, let's go in the dark one.
Angel
like,
made a point about the puzzles. Yeah.
What would they say?
They said, I dislike how many of the puzzles in the Rise are, there's one way to do this. If they don't figure it out, the hint rolls are basically the answer. Like,
the hint rolls, or the players aren't thinking the way that you're thinking, so here's the way it is. So you go through the labyrinth, right? And then it goes into a crawl space that goes into the room. Now, here's the thing. When I was reviewing my notes, I guess my ADD made me skip a bullet point. And that is that the crawl space that you go through is 45 feet up in the air inside of the room. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna double check this. Crawlway is a 3-foot high opening on the back wall of the southeast alcove, 45 feet above the ground. Okay, where you're looking down at the orcs bathing themselves in blood. Now, this means that it's not a challenge. Sorry, go ahead, Kaeko. Go ahead. What's up? What's up, Robin?
I was just wondering, does at any point in the module, because we're in theory on the same level, is there any point where it describes either the hallway sloping downwards or the labyrinth sloping upwards?
Yeah.
Because we never like changed level by going upstairs.
The labyrinth is kind of like, the labyrinth does what it needs to do.
Oh, there was secretly up and down.
Okay, cool.
Well, like, let me put it this way. The room with the statue that you guys jumped into was not 1,000-foot drop. It was 100-foot drop, 120 with the floor. Meanwhile, if you jumped the second you walked into Betrayer's Rise, it's 1,000-foot drop into that pit. So space and time is all Stephen Moffat-y. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Stephen Moffat wrote this module. Okay, that's no Stephen Moffat would have done a better job on this room at least. So it's not a challenge because the room doesn't seal, because you can still technically get out through the crawl space after the room seals, which is why if you go watch our playthrough, midway through, I realize that I missed a bullet point. I'm reading that and I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Are you okay, guys? Here's the deal. It's on the floor. It seals too. It's going to make for a I think my actual quote is, it's going to make for a better fight, a better scene. So we're rewriting it right now. And
I think part of that was like, we were talking about like Scooby doing it around a corner, and it's like, no, this is a 3-foot high square, 45 feet up. So one of you can kind of see around this.
Well, and what would have happened is Sabina could have just sniped them.
Yeah, you could have just been standing back. Yeah, just standing back, like in the crawl space. Are you done yet, Sabina? Are they dead?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me shoot a spell too, kind of thing.
Yeah, go ahead. If it's 50-foot range or higher.
I have a lot of those.
You know?
Yeah, ones that might have actually worked.
And then inside of the room, actually, I think Valaz would have been the only one who could actually see them with his 120-foot dark vision, because they would be 45 feet down and like also like 20 feet to the left.
Oh yeah, Kaeko doesn't have any dark vision, so Kaeko would have just like,
well, and it's entirely dark.
Guys?
So
Guys?
so you got to adjust that.
Apply Pythagoras to 5th edition D&D?
I have a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching. I would play D&D with Matt Pat. I would. I would not let him do his own math though. I would not let him build his own character. He would hack it. You know he would. So that fight I really enjoyed that fight. It was really brutal. You guys survived just by the skin of your teeth, but you survived. And that felt good to me. It felt like you earned that victory, right? Whereas a lot of the previous fights were total rolls because you had like NPC help. You earned this one. And that felt good to me. I know that there were some parts of it that were frustrating. But the stone slabs that rise up, anyway, it's just, the room sucks. The room, it feels like the conditions for this trap didn't make it through copy editing. And as someone who who writes this kind of stuff from time to time, it probably did. It probably just slipped through the cracks when they were looking at it, and they were like, "Oh shit!" afterwards, and there might be an errata out for it.
So to answer Angel's question, it says the orcs notice a player as soon as they enter. Do you think that should be changed or removed if characters have like super high stealth like their players do?
I mean, they're not omniscient. They're just fiendish orcs. So I would say one of two things. They're in the middle of like a 20-foot wide pool of boiling blood. So I think what it would be is they don't notice the players enter, or the characters enter. But I would also say that the rogues, or the stealthy ones, might not notice that the pool is made of boiling blood. Right? And so if they try to sneak up and stab them in the back, they'll probably catch on fire or start burning and will probably scream. Now, if they sneak into the room and just start like, I think that they would notice after they got stabbed, I guess is what I would say. Or when the the interloper started screaming in pain from horrible damage. But yeah, I think that...
They were pretty beefy too. Like it took us, or at least it took us a while to take them down. So we don't have a lot of DPS though in this this party, but they were pretty beefy. So like I'm not sure exactly what their hit points were, but I mean, as Kelly said, like NPCs can kind of do whatever you want, and so you know what, why not let them like have a surprise round against them if they manage to do that.
So Orc War Chief, CR4. They have 93 hit points, so that's quite a bit. They also have Grump's Fury. When they use a weapon attack, they do an extra D8 damage, and they can move up to its speed as a bonus action toward a creature, as well as do a battle cry. So they're pretty beefy. Every hit that they do is 1d12 plus 1d8 slashing, and they get 2 attacks, which is pretty gross. They also, because they're fiends, they're immune to a bunch of, like, for example, Caitlan spells. So one of the reasons the fight went really rough is that you tried to hit them twice, and twice in a row it was like, oh, well, they're possessed, they're fiends, and they're immune to fire and poison. So together, that leads to this being really rough. And then the blood fountain overflows and does 2d6 fire damage to everything it touches.
Yeah.
And
it overflows real quickly too.
Yeah. Oof.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had like a round before it overflowed.
So you want to know how fast it goes? So the way it works is, blah, 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 blah. But when both exits are sealed, the blood begins to boil and overflow. I guess it wasn't boiling in advance. You could say that it was still on fire, basically, though, just for effect. Rises at a rate of 5 feet per minute to a maximum depth of 45 feet. I had to go slightly more than that, so it was more urgent. I rounded up that it was going to raise... Well, actually, no, I did the math. 5 feet per minute means that it is going up, 8 inches a second? Or 8 inches every 6 seconds? Or something like that. That's a lot.
Sure.
That's well, I mean, we can do the math real quick.
No, I believe you.
So I did the math in a calculator. Damn it, I did it on the side. I know so it was
I'm not doubting you. I said sure because I would not be able to answer that question.
I mean, that's not the way that math works. Hold on.
I can only write formulas in Excel.
5 times 12, so that's 60 inches. So it'd be divided by, it'd be 10 inches round.
Yeah. So wow,
it's almost a foot around.
Yeah, that's a lot of inches. That's more inches than I thought we had. But hey, that's useful. He was pleasantly surprised, and then she was on fire. She was unpleasantly surprised. She's like, "Oh no, boiling blood!
Oh, no.
I got some boiling blood for you, baby." And then she got hit by an orc. Not like that. Or maybe like that. I don't know. I'm not gonna kink shame anybody. Not the way I live my life.
Yuck anybody's yums.
So yeah, there was quite a bit of trouble there. What else we got? Other questions? Bloodfront Room. I think most players, so GM Workshop says, thinks most players would default to friendly competition sort of things. Not sure where you naturally drive. Yeah, so we talked about that one.
Yeah.
Do we talk about anything else inside of, let's see, hint rolls, Tomb of Annihilation, Nightmares in the book? Okay, cool. So, do I think it's written? Yeah, what's up, Christa?
I was gonna ask about the unfortunately the one part that Robin wasn't there for, but the like vision stuff. That was something I really enjoyed. I liked that part. I liked going and talking to the Firbolg and his little like garden thing. And
He's
no,
nice,
I'm
right?
so sad I missed that. I was so
Yes.
sad.
Yeah. It was a very nice, like, that was kind of a nice little interaction that we had. And like it was part of what made Bazzoxan feel very lived in. Like,
I agree. I think it's one of the benefits of this
siblings. Yeah, the siblings. I mean, I think that's one of those things that plays to Matt Mercer's thing, right? Is he always has everything feels lived in.
Everything feels very
There's
lived in.
a million NPCs. And so that's I think why earlier I said like this feel that has the vibe of Critical Role, but if you're not careful, like if you don't have Kelly running it, it might not.
We're going to talk about that
flavor.
in a minute, because so on that front, though, I do want to say that it does feel like it does feel very Matthew Mercer, and this is something. So here's a peek behind the screen. We're not going to dwell too much on this, but as a professional dungeon master, which is a weird sentence to say to me still, from me still, I found this module to run it as performative theater, basically, for y'all who are watching, a little stressful. And it's something that I don't know if anybody who's running this for their home table is going to feel in a game, but I wouldn't be surprised. And that is, it is a condensed, heightened version of the Matthew Mercer effect. And it's not that it's like, because I've got people who, and this, I'm not bragging, okay? I really am not. I have people who are like, oh, you're our Matthew Mercer. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. That's lovely. I wish I had his budget. But you know, I think that is absolutely wonderful to hear. But it's his world, right? It's the Critical Role world. All the players and all the extra writers on here, of course, contribute. But at the end of the day, it's trying to, with any other module, with, you know, Curse of Strahd, or with Wild Beyond the Witchlight, so many people have had their hands in that, who have had their hands in the Forgotten Realms, have had their hands in Greyhawk, have had their hands in all of these realms, that it is not any one person's vision. There is no way to get wrong Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Like, because it can be literally anything you want it to be. Whereas, even though, yeah, obviously that is, you know, it's my game, I can do whatever the hell I want. The rivals can all be pirates, and they can all throw the jewel overboard when the Titanic hits the iceberg, type of thing, right? That can happen. But at the end of the day, this is one person's vision, and it's one person's DM style that is kind of laser focused through this, even though it's not written by him and mostly just probably signed off by him at the end of the day, and probably brainstormed by him. And that is really stressful. And I want to say to any DMs who are running this, especially new DMs who are running this for Critical Role fans or are Critical Role fans themselves, it's okay to be stressed about this. It is okay to need to take a break and remind yourself that it's your goddamn game. And at your table, you are the one in charge. You don't have to bow down to this like idea of a DM. And I think that I know for a fact that Matthew Mercer would agree with that statement. He thinks you should run your own damn game the way you want to and have fun with it. And that at your table, you are the DM. You are the good DM, right? Because you're the one running the game. The best DM is the one that runs the game at your table.
Exactly. I think he just have made this world for that, and he wants to be able to give that world to DMs to use. And yeah, to play around in, because maybe you don't have time and budget and people to help create this huge fleshed out world. So
Right.
hey, here's mine. You can play it. Here's all the lore that I've made for you here. So Matt's giving you that, but it's I think you're right. It's the fact that it is Critical Role's Call of the Netherdeep, that it has Matt's name there.
It's like, it's right there. It's right,
Right?
there.
There it is.
And I think
There's
one of
Maggie,
the good things that is really key for I think a table game is that you talk about that, because letting your players know, like, hey, this is what I've realized, and I'm it's good to let your players know about that, because stress can sometimes bleed out into it, and it could maybe lead to like a player going, oh no, have I done something wrong? Like, why are you not enjoying this too? Because hey, at the end of the day, we want you to also have a good time as players. We want your DM to have a good time, and it's like,
yeah. So Chris, you had your hand up earlier, though.
Oh,
I want to go to you.
No, it's a kind of a bit of a digression. But you mentioned something about the rivals being pirates, and that made me think, like, how would you adapt this into a nautical setting?
Oh my gosh.
I can very easily see AO as a pirate.
It's a pirate because of the javelin and the water genasi. Here's a spoiler. It's called the Netherdeep. It's going to be a nautical setting before long.
Just wait. Just wait for it.
Wait for it. You know what I would do? I would go like this. Ready? I would go like this, and I would go, and
then it's, there you go.
It's a nautical setting. I literally flipped to the Nautical page. Holy shit! I literally flipped to Netherdeep with. I don't even have a tab. That was
great.
Oh my gosh.
Netherdeep.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm a professional.
I know Angel made a comment about being that, like, they ran a homebrew Xandria game as the only critter. I am not a critter.
No, you're a D20 person. And an Adventure Zone person.
I was only a little petty when everyone saw him running on seeing Brendan Lee Mulligan run on Critical Role, and everyone's like, oh my god, Brendan Lee Mulligan's amazing. I'm like, yeah, Brendan Lee Mulligan's fucking amazing. Yep. Go watch Dimension 20.
I mean, they're all amazing. Like Mercer, Abria, like they're all great. Also, oh god, I'm forgetting. I was going to shout out relics and rarities, but fine.
Sure,
also, Dorktales is pretty good. I hear Dorktales is pretty good.
Well, so this is what I mean. This is what I'm saying is that, like, I think, like, for me, I do feel like I'm missing out on a lot because I don't know the backstory. I don't know what a vestige is. I don't know what the calamity was. Like, none of this means anything to me, which is kind of like, I mean, I get the same thing with the Forgotten Realms because I don't know anything about the Forgotten Realms. But I feel like there's so much lore in the Forgotten Realms that when you have a module in that, it kind of gives you that backstory and does that work for you. Whereas I feel this module has kind of like expected things to mean things to you when I'm like, what is this? And Robin, what is this? What are we talking about, Robin?
Yeah. Maybe I should have put
I only knew about the calamity because I put the knowledge of that into Xarria's background because of where she's from, like what she was doing before meeting up with the group. That's the only reason I knew about that.
Well, and I kind of purposefully was like, I'm gonna make a character that was raised by moorbounders and hasn't had societal influence on anybody and is from Wildmount in the wilds, so that I could kind of distance myself from that and not have to know any of the lore. But yeah, it was definitely it was a little overwhelming, and I think you're totally right, Kelly. Like, this is the and again, I feel like this will be like so many critters sit down at their first table expecting their DM to be Matt, not prepared to be everybody else at the table.
You know what? If you expect your DM, if you want Matt, you better be Travis.
100%.
Travis elevates every goddamn scene he is in, and is the loudest cheerer when anybody else succeeds, and is the most humble when he succeeds. He is like one of the best players I've ever seen on anything.
Yeah.
And he's
no,
handsome.
100%. And this is the thing, is that you're gonna sit down to this embodiment of the Matt Mercer effect.
Yeah.
And you're going to be mad and upset. Like, you need to sit down going, this is D&D. Yes, I will know the lore, but that's all you should bring into this. Just bring into it as you can know the lore, you can know the backstory, but this is your game. It's your game.
And a lot of what you're going to feel, if that comes up, is also just for you. Like, a lot of it is going to be you internalizing stuff that your players might not even agree. When I told them that I was having the Matt Mercer, the Matthew Mercer syndrome, everybody here was like, yeah, we get it, but why? Right? Like, we get it, but don't. Maybe try not to feel that way because you're wrong. And that was very nice. I love that. That was wonderful. I love you. But so a lot of it is going to be like the way that you internalize it. So like, check yourself before you get pissy. Because you can see me at the beginning of 2 games ago, as we're going through Betrayer's Rise, like trying to run the dungeon the way that I think the dungeon wants to be run rather than how I want to run it. And it's a problem I often find when I'm running modules, is that I will go into the module, I'll try to give you them, because I'm performing it as much as I'm running it, and I'm trying to make it be the penultimate, or not penultimate, that's the second, but the version of the module, right? Like the vanilla best version of it that could be. But the modules really work the best. And I said this at Witchlight last night. They are cake recipes, like they are box cakes. And it's when you add the extra ingredients that they actually sing. Like it's when you add the vanilla to the cake mix, or the coffee, or the sprinkles,
or the
like
nightmares.
Or did you know that you are supposed to whip cake icing, like cake icing from a can?
Yeah, I saw that
What?
TikTok.
You're supposed to whip it. It's on the instructions. We've been eating it out of the can for our entire lives for nothing. You're supposed to whip it.
I was going to say,
Gets...
the correct way to do it is with a spoon into your mouth.
Right?
That is the
That's
correct way.
exactly how I eat that icing.
But
yeah,
supposedly,
but you're supposed to
put it on a cake. You're supposed to whip it.
Supposed to whip it because then it makes it nice and fluffy. So like things like that, like once you get your hands on this, don't be afraid to change things. And if your players call
Just
you
eat
on
the
it, why are
module
they
with a
reading the damn
spoon.
book?
Don't eat the module with a spoon.
It's like when people call you, they're like, don't worry, guys, this monster only has 50 hit points. Well, he has 50 more now, bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I am lucky that I have not had to deal with very many players like that.
Yeah.
You know? I also want to say this module so far is one of the few examples where I will disagree with my advice at Witchlight last night, which was every combat encounter involved in the Witchlight, give the enemies maximum hit points. Not average, like normally. In this one, it's fine. Don't touch it. It is this thing is spicy enough. You don't need to add the extra.
I think, like I said, like it feels like a second edition module. Like it's out to kill you, and I mean that's where the critters came. Like the Critical Role folks came from playing first edition. They expect it deadly.
No. I love Kobold Press's stuff, but it'll kill you. It'll kill you dead.
Yes. Oh my god, it's brutal.
I remember a certain worm from Kobold Press.
The rhyme worm is so
dead.
good. By the way,
kills you
folks,
dead.
I want to implore you. If you like Dungeons and Dragons actual plays, go to our YouTube and go watch the Reign of Emeries. It's a homebrew campaign, but it will all make sense to you. It's like techno magic and a little bit steam, sort of magipunk, but it's super good. It's super good, and I want to see those numbers go up. We have like 35,000 views on Witchlight episode 1. I just want 5,000 views of Reign of Emeries 1. It is, and because honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna check right now. Our homebrews are so good.
You talk, I'll check.
Okay, you check. Like go join it. And if you do it, I'll run more. By the way, did I tell you that I came up with a sequel for Wild Beyond the Witchlight? I'll tell you that after I figured it out. I figured out where it goes, and it's dark. It's real dark. I'm gonna start writing it. For DM's Guild.
So you did write Return to Oz, is what you're saying?
Sort of.
Okay.
I chose a different. It's a different place.
So
Are there wheelers? Is the question. Go, Robin. Go ahead.
We
Oh,
have
amazing.
we need one more person to go watch it to reach 3,000 views on Amory's episode 1. It's at 2,999 right now.
99.
99.
The problem is that it is over 60 hours long. Chandra, you got time. Go watch it. Honestly, it goes by quick. It goes by.
Okay, so when I've been looking for like clips and stuff, I've been digging through like Extra Life games. I just throw it on it 2 times. Y'all are easy enough to understand.
Yeah.
I'm impossible to understand, but don't watch games with me in them. Then you're good.
Or 1.5 times. I've started to listen to 1.5 times because some of them can be long for like crit roll stuff. Like, that's
there
long.
you go. Yeah, go start Shards of Nerd at the beginning.
Yeah, listen to that at 10 times speed.
Yeah, geez, yeah.
Except for the swimsuit episode.
While you're sleeping, so you'll just like absorb it.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
You need to give me a list of critical episodes. Critical episodes. Yes, of Shards to watch.
Well, the one with Beepo.
Well, I've seen that one.
Okay. The one piece of Dork
That's the only one I've seen.
The Beepo episode?
To be quite honest with you, I think that's the only one that I actually.
So good.
Very good.
I've been 2 characters in that game, and I don't know anything about it.
Beepo's the chosen one. Praise Beepo. But go watch Reign of Emery. Seriously, go do it right now. Or go watch Mage of the Victorian Age, because those are both like they're super good shows. Content warnings abound. Actually, for both of them, they're pretty dark, both of them.
Yeah.
Rain goes really dark at a time, and Victorian starts really dark because of the Victorian era.
They didn't have electric lighting yet. It's real dark.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just all gaslighting all the time.
Oh my God.
That's so good.
What, the gaslighting joke?
Yes.
Okay, you know what? I gotta tell you, Chris knows this. Chris knows this. The Victorian era vampire game, Victorian era Vampire the Masquerade. The LARP version of that is called Vampire by Gaslight.
Oh yes, I have heard of this.
But this is like 20 years ago. So that's, before the term was really quite as thrown around, even though, of course, the gaslighting is very old. All right,
the action was still being done.
Just also
wasn't termed as much.
Yeah, and the term has kind of gotten away from itself, I think. It now is any disagreement a lot of the time. But, so folks, I think that's it for chapter 3. Go into it. Know that Betrayer's Rise is rough. Give them hell. Feel free to attack them with monsters if you want it to be more dramatic. If your players are super rule-based, you will have to choose one of the incarnations of Earthquake to hit them with. I chose both because screw it. I have drama points that the chat buys me.
Yes.
Make it your own. The best parts I think about this were the interactions with the people outside the city, and then like the nightmares and what Kelly did with Valis, which none of that I think was in the book. Like Kelly said, the nightmares weren't there, and of course Valis wasn't. Wait, Valis isn't. Yeah, Valis is your create. Yeah,
Valis is not.
So
he's integrated so well. We don't know.
It would have been
double checking
Valis,
again.
Timor, or
cough medicine.
Tibor.
But it's I think the best parts about chapter 3 were the ones that you made it ours. Like you added in like that personal touch to things, and so don't be afraid to add in things or edit things to like what your players will enjoy, because I'm sure if you're running a game, you like to see them having fun, whatever that is.
Little trauma bay in
little pepper
there.
grinder.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we are going into Ank'Harel next episode, and that's not a spoiler. You guys know you're going to go to Ank'Harel eventually. So you are in Ank'Harel in Marquette. and it is going to be rad. Actually, the opening of campaign 3 of Critical Role, I've only watched the first like 5 episodes of it, and it's a really cool city. It's a really cool setting, and I'm very excited to run it because it was actually like the set dressing and the descriptions in episode 1 of that campaign were really great. Like they really were. It was actually one of the things that I told you, if you're going to watch one episode of it, go watch the first episode and just absorb the vibe. Just absorb the vibe. And it's a little slow, but watch it in double speed. It's fine.
They also did it in later bits of Vox Machina, and they actually did, because again, we kind of haven't watched, I haven't really been keeping up for campaign 3 because I went back to campaign 1 to rewatch.
We got to sit down and watch that sometime.
Machina. I know, but they did a good chunk of it in Ank'Harel for a bit, and it's a cool city. I am so excited. Once I listened to the Vox Machina, I got really excited for this because I think it's
come up with some
really
bullet points on what you want us to do. So
yeah, I'm excited after like Betrayer's Rise and all the drama, trauma, everything, just to like chill, catch my breath for like a hot minute.
To have like a shopping episode.
There's sand. It's gonna be like we're in a tropical resort.
Yeah, I was wondering, is it warm? Because I might like style my wig to be kind of cute.
It is warm. It is warm.
Oh, I'm gonna do that.
Allow me. Welcome on the raid. The gloom of Bazzoxan gives way to the sunlight and warm winds of Marquette as the characters arrive in the metropolis of Ank'Harel. While they get their bearings in a new city or a new continent, the characters discover potential allies among the factions of the city and plumb the mysteries that await them. An investigation that culminates in an expedition into
I need
the
a tan
unknown.
and a pina colada.
There you do.
Right?
So,
there's no Jamon Saord, is there in Ank'Harel at the time?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. The Jamon Haraj?
No, Jamon Sahord.
Jamon Sahord. There is a bodacious bodega.
I know there is. I'm excited to go see my love again, because oh boy, Kaeko's a bit.
Kaeko, what in God's name are you doing here? Wait, that's Matt Berry. Hold on.
Yeah, that's Matt Berry.
When did he become Matt Berry?
Bat! Oh no, he's been bitten by a vampire. He's now a bat.
Well, there are vampires in this.
I've been doing the Matt Berry voice so much that I seem to have forgotten how to do Lucifer. Oh, hello, there he is.
This sounds like Matt. I was gonna say that sounded like Matt Berry doing Austin Powers.
Hello, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my god.
All right. So, one thing that I do need you all to start thinking about, though, and this is un petit spoiler. Okay. Un petit spoiler, pardon me. That this chapter is designed in such a way that you are going to be competing or completing missions for a chosen faction. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, by completing missions for your chosen faction, you're going to learn about all sorts of things for the future. Each faction story track has like a number of missions, and kind of like basically the entire chapter is 3 branching pathways. So you will need to figure out which faction you want to join. After you can do multiple factions, like basically it's like Dragon Age. You get like a couple of adventures with each faction if you want, and then you have to join or not keep going in that faction. And you got to pick. It's not like Fallout. You
Who we gonna take to the prom?
Who you gonna take to the prom? You gonna take the prom? So as you're looking at this though, so the factions of course are that you can join up with. Let's see who we got. We have the Library of the Cobalt Soul. So you could do some work for librarians. You can join you can join the consortium of the Vermilion Dream with Aloysia.
Like that.
Oh, sorry, your friend died. Here, have
Get flogged.
have
I don't know.
Have some
Or
stuff.
maybe we should and just
No,
tear
we
it
should
down
do
from the
one
inside
mission
and
to
murder
get
all of them.
close. Exactly. That's exactly
Well,
what I
or
was
just
gonna say.
wreck her in general and her standing in there.
Yeah, you could totally. So, and then finally, the last one is the Allegiance of the All-Sight, which to peer in the past is to illuminate the future. Blah 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 blah. So to give you a sense of who's in who, I guess the other characters do show up from the previous chapter, so that's not really much of a spoiler.
I just imagining Xarria being like, "Yes, we will get in there and we will destroy her politically," and then it's just her constantly like pulling Sabina from a ledge, who's like got an arrow on her, and then like pulling Dorlen away with a bomb, trying to slip it under her feet,
And just grabbing Kaeko by the axe.
And meanwhile, it's like, I'm going to ruin her political standing. Why does this inkwell keep going dry?
Dorlen, why do you want to drink vermilion green? Oh, I want to murder one of your members.
Yeah. Gosh damn it, Dorlen.
With ambition.
So, to give you a sense of things, if you like Prolix Yusuf, you remember Prolix Yusuf? He spoke kind of like these. So he is he's with the All-Sight, the Alliance of the All-Sight. Question is with the Library of the Cobalt Soul.
I like Question.
You remember Question?
Like
She spoke kind of like Harley Quinn. And then Aloysia is the Consortium of the Vermilion Dream. So you can join any one of them. But it kind of implies that the party should probably all join the same one. It doesn't kind of says you have to, kind of doesn't. It's so typically a character is associated with only one faction at a time, but if the characters want to change their allegiances or engage in espionage, they can try to join a second faction. So
Espionage, you say?
Yeah, I
feel like our characters are not.
I feel if you are going with that option, can you please telegraph that to me in a little advance? Like send me a DM or something, because like that's going to be some extra legwork.
Yeah.
And to give you a sense of how big Ank'Harel is, who wants to guess? Robin, you're excluded. How? Give me to a factor of just round to the nearest 1,000. How many people are in it? Price is Right rules.
100.
Okay. All right.
24,000.
Okay.
300.
Okay. Caitlan, you have lost by Price is Right rules by going over.
Damn.
But only by 7,000.
Oh,
hey,
wow.
293,500.
Still closest.
That you're the closest. But you went over. So dun 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 dun.
I win.
So there are also sub factions, by the way, as well. Just gonna let you know right off the bat. There are minor factions. So the Hands of Ord, which are basically the city guard, the Scar Bearers, who are a bunch of mercenaries, the Sentinels of Memory, that are
Scar Bears.
not the Scar Bears.
I know the Scar Bearers.
Oh.
Okay. And the Veil. So there are 4 other ones, a total of 7 factions you can join, and so on. What did I miss?
Oh, I just made like.
We're making Scar Bear motions.
Yeah.
I'm a monster. Rawr.
Oh, I was out of the sun too long today, guys.
That's fair. All right, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. So start thinking about what kind of things you want to do, and we'll figure it out from there. But folks, that's gonna be a good place for us to end tonight. We hope you come back. What?
Before we finish, I would like to read what Greg K in our Discord just dropped, because it is wonderful and makes my heart feel very good.
Right.
Yeah, I've been trying to copy and paste it for the past 30 minutes, but my Discord's not letting me.
All right, Greg.
I'm just going to read it aloud. I just wanted to stop by and say thank you to the Dork Tales crew. I found you when I knew I would be running Call of the Netherdeep and did some research to see others who were running it. I fell in love with your gameplay. It easily inspired me to bring my players to this new world and evolve my DM style a tad. I watched one of my players who was always meh on D&D become engaged, actually looking forward to coming to play. My veteran players stepped into Wildmount the first time and already fell in love. We had players who haven't played in 5+ years join us for games, and new people get excited when we talked about it. Hopefully we can convert them to players. Another big thank you and keep up the good work.
Oh, that's so nice.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Yeah.
Greg? It was Greg,
incredible.
right? It was Greg?
Greg K, yeah.
Greg Keg,
Thank you,
Greg.
newcomer. These are the people we bring into the fold. It's amazing. We get so many amazing people in our Discord.
Honestly,
if you're not in our Discord, go join our Discord.
Join the Discord. It's free. Like, do it. All right. So
the memes are lit.
The memes are pretty lit.
They are.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Angel.
Then thank you, Angel. But seriously, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be able to run these how-tos. It's something we just started doing with Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and they've been pretty well received, and it's a good way to take a break for a week and give me some more time to prep and get like the music and everything ready and all that. So thanks. It really does mean a lot that you stick with us. Usual spiel incoming. We'll be back next week with another episode of Call of the Netherdeep as we head into Ank'Harel. We hope you join us for that. But hey, if you want some more Dork Tales content, don't forget though, there is a ton of it over on our YouTube at youtube.com/dorktales, and you can also find a lot of our programming over on our podcast, which is available where all podcasts are sold, rented, or otherwise borrowed. If you would like to see other things, this week we are running two games before the next Call of the Netherdeep. You can come on Saturday to watch Mage the Ascension of the Victorian Age, 7 p.m. Pacific on Saturday, or you can join us at noon Pacific on Sunday for the first episode of our little indie showcase of Firebrands, where we are running Dragon Hearts. We're gonna play dragons. It's gonna be really goofy and fun. And I've just been reminded that it is not, in fact, Wednesday night tonight, and because I've had a really long day. And you can even see us tomorrow if you really want to, at 8 p.m. Pacific for Vampire the Requiem Party Monsters, which is going. I've had this game plotted for a month, and we haven't been able to play because of scheduling difficulties. So it should be a lot of fun. Besides that, I also want to do a big thank you to all of you who watched tonight, as well as to the people who make these streams happen. Dork Tales is a full-time gig, and it is wonderful to have the support that we do over on our Patreon at patreon.com/dorktales. So I want to do a big shout out to some of the people from that who are the most generous, but all of you have my thanks. The ones I have to list, of course, are my world-building royal producer, Schulten, my divine producer, DM Michael Gray, my demonic producer, Soul Omen, and my other demonic producer, Precarious, as well as my princes of the Patreon, which are, of course, Aeolus, Trizelta, Cubby Gummy, Amberthist, Buddy, and Terran. Y'all are amazing, phenomenal, and a quick reminder that we are also in August starting Strixhaven and Spelljammer, and in September, DorkPod, our Dork Tales the podcast, is going to be released. Strixhaven is going to be ran by Christa. It has an amazing cast, and Dork Tales the podcast are both going to be released early on our Patreon. So if you give us $5 a month, you get those 3 months in advance. It's going to be pretty great.
Our episode 0 of Strixhaven is already up.
Yeah, episode 0 of Strixhaven is available right now, and it was really cute. One of the players had to teleconference in from Anaheim. It was pretty great.
It was literally at VidCon and had to come in.
Yeah, that's what I have to say there. Go support the Patreon. It helps the stream. And and with that,
buy coffee and dice.
Yeah, buy coffee and dice. We also are supported by Bones Coffee. So if you like coffee, go to bonescoffee.com. Use code DorkTales to save 10% and to give us 10% of your purchase. And you can hit me up in the Discord for what flavors of coffee from Bones I really like, because there are quite a few, and there are some I have opinions on. There's some I have weird opinions on. I really need to try the Min Invaders one. And then if you are in Canada in particular, or would like a dice subscription and are in America, I strongly suggest Adventure Dice, which is a Canadian company that has like dice subscriptions and things like that. You can go to adventuredice.ca or .com. Is it .com? I think it's .com.
I think it's .com.
It's .ca.
And amazing mugs.
Yeah, and
it is .ca.
Is .ca. So yeah, go do that. And with that, I want to say thank you all for being here. We will be back next week with Call of the Netherdeep. There is a lot of adventure left, as well as a lot of surprises in store. Some that you haven't. They're going to blow you away. I guarantee it. What? I said the word blow.
It was just the way you said that. It was very funny. They're going to blow you away.
I'm tired. Shut up.
I know you are. It was very adorable.
I just guarantee it.
I guarantee it.
You're gonna like the way we look. I guarantee it. Yeah.
You're gonna like the way we roll.
Enough Games Warehouse commercials. Folks, as always, thank you for watching. We love you very much. Honestly, that's not just flirting. We couldn't do this without you. So thanks for being with us on this. We'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.